This conference will now be recorded.
All right, the November 9th Planning Commission meeting is called to order. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
Yes, since sending this out, Don Hins is present, so I added him to it. So then I would also recommend once we get into it, maybe we skip to that one.
7C or 6C?
6A.
Oh, there it is. 6A.
B.
B.
66B.
I got it at 6A.
Oh, yeah, he just bumped down.
Oh.
If you look at it.
Yep. I just moved it around.
Is there a motion to approve the new agenda?
So moved.
Second. Discussion, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, carries. Approval of the minutes from October 12th.
You type these up, Kim, or what is that doing?
I don't know if I did those or you did those.
She'll do them, and then if she's gone, I'll take care of it.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting from Tuesday, October 12th.
This is one that's gonna put it in. 2020. Is it right?
Oh,
So what,
yep, that should be the 2022. So just a grammatical error on 6A for zoning fees. It says 2020.
I don't know where it's in.
In the minutes. Just that.
I'll take that as an amendment to the motion in a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor for approval, say aye. 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 Opposed, carried. Next. No public hearings. We'll skip right down to 6A then. Don Hins potential variance. What do you have, Dylan?
I'll start out. So Don came into my office yesterday and he wanted to talk about his property. He's thinking about building a porch. He's encroaching the setbacks with his conceptual plan that he has going on right now. So we spoke back in the spring a little bit about it, and then we spoke recently this week, and I've told him about the variance process, and because it's only a 10-inch encroachment, he's wondering if he could talk about it and wants to come present his idea. He brought his a site map of his property, but how about that, Don? Will you tell us a little bit about the project you want to?
Okay, I want to put on 16 by 16 four-season porch on the back of the house. When I got his original pictures, I thought I had 40 feet back. I had Frank come up the other day and we did some looking and measuring. Last week, I stretched a line between my back property corners. I measured from the house out on a concrete slab, 16 feet. And I measured from that 16 feet to the stretched line. I got pictures of it all on my phone. I am less than 10 inches short on that back. I talked to Lodemeyer's on one side. I've talked to Steve Johnson on the other side. Lodemeyer's are actually kind of ecstatic that I'm going to do it because they're thinking about doing it. I talked to the groundskeeper of the golf course. My house by Steve's is the 11th tee. You guys golf. I know almost down to the 11th tee because my wife wanted to decorate the pine tree down by the tee. So I'm wondering, do I have to go through the whole purpose for 9.5 inches, whatever it ends up to be? I did get a slight recommendation. I could cut it down to 15 instead of 16. But I don't necessarily want to do that.
You found the pins.
Oh, yeah, they're all standing. I actually went up the neighbors, a couple of lots, and I sighted down everybody's pins. There's, all the stakes are still there. So it's not like, I mean, if the house was not ours, I mean, we bought it used, it's 9-year-old. And then I'm thinking, okay, did somebody move the stakes out, whatever, it's in line with everybody else's, so I don't think anything has been done. But I can show you my pictures if you'd like to see them, but and actually, after I came down, talking to girls earlier, you know, at my age, my eyes aren't too good. What's that number there? He's explaining it's satellite pictures and it gets you close. But I actually went back out to the house after I was here this afternoon and I got a tape measure out and I measured everything again. And it's this claims I got 40 foot and it's just a few inches, 9 inches short of 46.
If that's in the county web,
46, I could do it.
if that's in the county website, those ain't that accurate, because mine is a few feet off.
Oh, they're way off. Don't even look at that. Yeah.
Not for that purpose.
According to this, it's close to 6 feet, but I was thinking in the beginning, I had to go 6, 7 foot variance. And then after I measured it out, Monday.
Could there be a problem with your measuring tape that's the elastic is too stretched out so that if you just built it thinking you were within the setback, that nobody would know?
So to add on to when Don and I talked yesterday, you know, he was asking this question is, does he need a variance? And I told him that I ultimately don't make these decisions single-handedly. So it's one of the reasons why we're here. And we spoke again today and I mentioned, you know, the 15 feet instead of a 16 feet. And the rules aren't in place because we care about 10 inches. It's because everybody else allegedly abides by them. You know, Miranda, that front desk here shared a story about how she wanted to do an addition to her house. She wanted 6 feet of a room expanded, needed to only go 5 because
There is a slight difference between that and what I want to do. She had neighbors next to it. I had nothing back there other than several hundred feet of rough of the golf course. And I realized I still have a lot. But I'm not trying to put in a feeding station for animals or I'm trying to improve the property with a four-season porch. And I need 10 more inches.
Yep, Dylan's right though. I mean, first it's 10 inches, then somebody else tries for 1.5 feet, and then it's like, but
But I mean, the process of the variance is just paying the fee, goes through it goes through here, it goes to council. My opinion, 10 inches, 5 feet, I still think we have to do it the correct way.
Well, I totally sympathize. I agree with Brad. I mean, it's how worried.
Brad. I mean, and that's the thing is, I have no problem with
Yeah.
that, just letting it fly because it's 10 inches. But now the next person wants 18 inches and the next person wants 12 inches. We have them ordinances to, I mean, 10 inches, I mean, there's a lot of people that do things and don't do it. And I meant you for coming in here and bringing it up to us. But I don't know, it's tough. I mean, even if it's 1 inch, so what would you do if it's 1 inch? I mean,
well,
it's,
I told Don, you know, we drive up and down the road there in his neighborhood, you're not going to notice whether it's 10 inches here or there.
agreed 100%.
The problem lies with what we're talking about now is all of a sudden we're the measurement police of the town because we allowed something against our ordinances based on verbal allotment of it. And that you're making our job hard, you know.
What's the variance?
250.
what is it?
250.
today.
Well, I don't want to put you guys in the bunch.
It's, and I appreciate it because we all know we get hear them stories of people that do things and like, oh, then I'll deal with it. It's
If you
just,
can make it fit though, I mean, it's part of it like an overhang, which can be thought of differently.
Overhangs can encroach a certain amount to setbacks, yep.
Yeah,
But, you know, that'd
I
be
know that.
14 foot or something.
I know what you did at the old house, that was really nice. I'm sure you want to do at least as good. So. Corners either.
He knows the last four season porch I built, so. Okay, just maybe if you guys all, I fill all the paperwork out.
and I don't think there's going to be an issue of getting it approved. Obviously, it's the dollar amount. It's just,
Well, you know, we still have to, can't be good old boys. We like Don, so let's pass it. We still have to find the practical difficulty. So we're gonna try to figure that out.
well, that's easy.
What is it?
I like Don.
Huh?
I like Don. No, no, I mean, it's just, it's, yeah.
Well, if you foresee any problem on it, we'll do it.
No, we just have to come up with what's called practical difficulties like that. You'd have to argue somehow the way the lot's laid out or something that prevents this from you complying.
But also too, you talk to your neighbors and they have something written up, I think I mean, that'll help. I mean,
The back of your house, squared in the property line in the back. Okay. Or it's 90.
Okay. Start there. That's the view I've got. Another view. There's the 16-foot mark. Right there, you zero in on it, that's 16 foot. There's a close picture of the 16. So on there, I stretched a cable between the two stakes. And you zero in. That's what I need right there.
my opinion is, I think you need to go through the variance, but I don't think we'll have an issue of passing it. I mean.
I really could understand it being a problem if I wanted to go towards Johnson's or Lodemeyer's house, but I'm not. It's my backyard.
But
It's the rough.
it's also though too, you get somebody neighbor coming up. Well, what's Don doing down there? Does he got a permit? I mean, I don't know.
Well, I'll fill the whole thing out. What was his name again? You remember that? I'll bring it down to you.
Oh.
Turn it in.
Okay.
I don't want to cause a problem with the neighbors or you guys, so. I'd rather have all you mad at me than my wife when I shorten the room by a foot.
There's the practical difficulty, right?
Yeah.
You're lucky I didn't send her down here. Okay.
No, I mean, and I have no problem okaying it. I just think we have to do it correctly for that person that wants 18 inches and it's encroaching on the neighbor's side or it's encroaching this or.
Right.
And that's, I
I'm
mean,
okay with that, but if there's going to be a problem to go through this for the 10 inches, then I'll drop it. Period.
I don't see no problem with
Need to
it. I think
conjure
you-
up practical difficulty. We can't just do it because there's no problem. We got to have to make a finding that there's a practical difficulty. Whatever it is, you're gonna have to try to come up with something.
And I have no problem being creative on that because of the situation, because it's going that way. I just think we have to do it.
So you send out notices to everybody up on the development? Do you have anybody have a problem?
300 feet?
With 350 feet for a public hearing.
It's okay, I'm fine with that.
I mean, it's,
Yeah, Todd's right. It's has nothing to do with the project or your neighbors or anything. It's more like
we deal with every day of people doing stuff
Yes.
illegally.
people saying, well, you let Don get 10 inches. Why can't I get 12 inches on mine? And then we're down that slippery slope.
And that's what I'm, yeah, it's,
No, I'm not asking you to give it to me. I just want to make sure that this is gonna not create a problem. I see no problem. You keep bringing up this terminology.
But when we approve a variance, we have to put a reason down for why we think it's appropriate to approve the variance.
could you use construction costs for him to go down a foot? It's gonna cost X amount of money.
Is that practical though?
Then we just recommend the council, and they, I think, almost 100% of the time go with their recommendation.
99.9%. I mean, and it's, I mean, I don't want to speak for you ladies, but that's how I look at it. If he does that variance, we'll find something to back that. And I would do that to any resident.
Something with the lay of the land. It can't be cost. It can't be something that Don created. I mean, his remedy is to cut it back to 15 feet. So why shouldn't he be able, why can't he do that? Got to come up with some reasoning.
Do you have any ideas what we could use for that?
Not right now.
D-Dog.
Right at a meeting.
We'll figure it out.
We'll get it done. We'll figure it out. I mean, I don't know, we deal with a lot of people that don't do things correctly.
And that's why we're here.
Yeah. And 10 inches is what I want to say, but I'm on recording is probably not politically correct, but yeah, I would fill it out and move forward with that. And then we just got to go through the legality of it. And like you said, once we go through here, the council usually doesn't ask questions.
Okay, we like that. Thank you.
Sounds good, thanks, John.
All right, back to 5A.
See you guys.
See ya.
So last month, I made this matrix, because we're in the fee season to set fees for next year. So I pulled up some of the regional cities nearby in the county just to see what their fee schedule was. And I thought that would aid us in, analyzing our own and seeing which ways we should go. And then I had the idea today, I just started marking them up just for the visual representation. The red means, the arrows mean that they're higher than ours, and then the blue arrows mean that they're lower than ours. So you can see kind of widespread across the board that most people's are higher, some by a significant amount. And then I also wrote down at the bottom, I sectioned them off. The top section is our fees versus others. The second one is fees that others have that we just don't whatsoever. And then the third one is more of the flat fee. I put that in its own section just because those are going to be smaller. And then if my highlights show up to help expedite the process, that would be my recommendation of things to look at for potential change. And my reasoning for that is because, starting at the top, CUPs and IUPs are not that common. I don't mind us being below others, and I like being below others in certain areas. In certain areas, I do not. Same with variances, rezones. The way I see those is those permits are for individual entities. If a private homeowner wants to rezone a piece of his land, I don't want to charge them the same I would a development, what you would charge. But then that brings us into the pre and final plats. We're well below that of others. We don't,
Take a lot more time.
and they take a lot more time. I mean, bringing in something like the city engineer at $175 an hour you know, they spend way more time on that than 250, you know what I mean? And that's why other cities, they'll do escrow, but deposits and people will get those back, but
Did you ever get that question answered you asked about cost of publication? I can't remember. Fee schedule says flat fee plus out costs, or is that covered in these fees?
I think it's to be covered in these fees.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
But, so yeah, anyways, my recommendation would be looking at the pre and final plat. Again, those don't happen often, but you know, when somebody's platting a piece of land, it's usually not a private homeowner looking to change their 1 acre into 3 lots. It's usually sort of something bigger, and we're talking tens or dozens or hundreds of hours. So being well below that of others. I mean, I would argue, I don't know if you want me to throw out numbers, but I can. The other one I would recommend to change is our vacation fee. So city vacating land happens perhaps the most rare out of anything on here. As you can see, a lot of other cities don't even put a fee on there, because when it comes to vacating land, why not just sell it? Why would we give someone land for $250? It doesn't make much sense to
Well,
me.
you have streets or alleys usually.
Yep, correct. But you know, still there's people that would pay more than that. I believe, well, that's why people don't put a fee on there. You know what I mean? So I don't know if we want to eliminate that and just go on a case by case basis, because the city vacating land only happens once every few years, or we want to double it, or we, you know, I don't know. But that would, I highlighted it because I think that,
Vacation, that would vary in size. I mean,
yep,
that would strike me, flat fee, but that doesn't seem to quite make sense.
I don't, yeah, I agree.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a difference between the city actually owning land like that lot of golf course, which you can sell and proceeds come in and go into the coffers,
General fund.
versus vacating an easement, street or an alley. The city doesn't really own that. It's just they hold it for the use of the public. So, yeah. Okay. One thing though is, I don't know if I'm a big fan of you know, Cannon Falls and Lake City have that escrow. I
Yeah,
don't know if I'm a huge fan of that. It's like, does it matter?
What's the purpose of the escrow? To make sure the project goes forward?
Yeah,
Correct.
that they're more serious, they have more skin in the game, but then if it goes through, they get their, like in Cannon Falls, they get their 2,500 back. It's like a security deposit or something. It's like,
Sure.
I don't know if that's truly necessary or not in my mind, but.
I would agree with that, and I would only put it in play of a valuation of a project over a certain dollar amount. So Kim knows, for example, I don't know if I want to say who it was, but years ago, there was a development that was going to happen that didn't happen, that didn't happen, that didn't happen. There was years of time put into planning and things like that. So then a deposit was required of that development. So I believe it should just be in a unique circumstance, back pocket.
Yeah, I think that was like negotiated as part of the development agreement.
Correct.
Right, yeah.
So I agree. I'm not necessarily care about escrow accounts. That's just more accounting work, which you want more accounting work, Kim?
No, I do not.
What?
You don't like it? You don't like the work that we give you? But
Maybe it's like, but the difference between the pre-plat and the final plat, I mean, the fact the cost 250, 100 a year, what is really the difference? Work and everything.
so oftentimes pre and final plats come together. So it's just, yep. But some people will opt, I've never seen it before in my time here, but will opt to do a pre to get kind of their bases checked and then submit a final. That's kind of like a rough draft compared to the final. Most people just submit the final and you work with them anyway.
Usually the preliminary plat takes a lot more work and time because
Yeah.
you're
Correct.
trying to figure it all out with the engineer. And then once that's all put together, then when the final plat comes, it's almost like a rubber stamp.
Yep, and like more of a summary, because the pre-plat, depending on what it is, could have any number of supplemental materials that are needed for it. But long story short, I don't think we should go as high as Pine Island, I'll say, but
How can you get away with that, to be honest?
I don't know. I mean,
Engineering and city attorney fees, I suppose, and all that.
I'm sure they factor something into it.
Being attorney.
But so anyways, back to the conversation about making things easier for accounting. The flat fees at the bottom are all $45.50. And Miranda today was telling me stories about how many times people come in with a check for $45. she asks for the 50 cents. And then she's wondering why 50 cents. I don't know why we charge 45, 50. You know what I mean? So why not make that a round number at the very least?
I mean, just for easy, I would just bump all those right up to 50 and be done.
I
mean,
agree.
A manufactured home is $50. I mean,
Yeah.
why 45, 50? I mean,
Yep.
I mean, I'm okay with just bumping that all up to 50. I mean, just for easy and being done.
Yeah. I agree. I think that one, I don't necessarily care to go much higher than 50, just because you see some of the flat fee rates across the county, but just for accounting purposes.
But it's, look at Goodhue County, 69.25. I mean, what?
People, there people like doing it.
I mean, I'm okay. I mean,
Could have been 70, you got a deal.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, in my opinion on just these fees, I mean, bumping everything up $100 across the board. I mean, we're still cheaper than pretty much everybody else except for Lake City. But I think that's kind of what we did 2 years ago when we did that fee. Were you part of that one 2 years ago, that we just bumped everything?
Bump everything, 100, you talking just the highlighted ones up there or all of them?
I would do all of them.
What's usual publication on some of these?
The fee increase,
Or what do we usually
they get
charge?
approved with our, beginning of year fees.
But what are we paying right now for publication?
Oh.
Like a typical-
I can't remember.
$12, $30? I mean,
It's been a lot.
Like a typical vacation or variance, what would the publication cost?
At least,
$100?
probably.
Yeah, so I
Ooh.
mean, that's
When we say,
cutting into almost half of this.
Yeah, a print is expensive.
One's for individuals, I guess I'm not really crazy about putting an extra $100 in those, but the other one.
On which one?
Those first four, that you're talking about more individual situations.
I mean, I look at it just, I mean, I look at what the other cities are doing. I mean, Lake City, I mean, and who knows if Pine Island, Cannon Falls are bumping theirs up from this year. I mean, are they going up another $50? So,
I think about a situation like we did with Don there, $250, make it $350. That's a simple one, yes.
but we also have, I mean, we still got the publication that's gonna cost us $100 to put in the paper. So now we're down to 150 and
and it's gonna be, any one of these in the section 1 is one meeting with us, a public hearing meeting with us, and a meeting with city council, not counting the staff time to process it
or the publication.
or the publication.
So 100 across the board on some or all, and then probably increase the plating and the vacation more. Yeah, so thought.
I agree.
And you deal with it and you know the time. So I mean, if we got to go vacation I mean, if we just do a per time basis or double it, I mean,
Vacation, I mean, if there's a lot of variables, what that involves, flat fee.
I agree that my thoughts toward vacation is almost eliminating the fee and off the fee schedule and just doing it by evaluation of the land.
but do we have to have some type of figure if they come walking off the street and say, what's it going to cost me? I mean,
Yeah, but is someone going to come offer you $250 for a piece of land or something higher than that?
I would buy all them pieces of land.
You don't, usually it's like you got an unused alley. It's
Yeah.
never been open. It's grass back there. City says, yeah, there's probably little chance we're ever gonna develop or pave this or put down gravel with. So then the property owners get together and present a petition and vacate it. Alley's 16-foot strip. It's automatically gonna go 8 feet on either side. The city will never get a dime out of it because the city never owned the alley. They're just holding it for the public benefit. Streets, most of those have, a lot of them along West Avenue, there's been a few of those that have been vacated over the years. Sometimes it's easements, like somebody combines a lot and there's a utility easement around the perimeter of both lots, and you got to vacate the interior once you can plop a house there. But again, the city doesn't own it. They're vacating it because utilities don't need to go in there. So
Who pays that fee? Like you say, if there's an alley and there's owners on both sides, maybe 3 or 4 owners, who pays the $250 each one of them?
Yeah, I don't know. I suppose it'd be per vacation. So if they want to vacate an alley going an entire block, there'd just be one fee.
It would be who assumes ownership too, because if you vacate a piece of land and two entities assume ownership, they should probably split the 250 cost.
That doesn't actually split it, or that each.
Or I don't believe they each pay it.
Whoever's filing the petition.
So what do you think we should do on that, Matt?
I don't know. I don't think it's necessarily be tied to the value of the land or anything, because the city doesn't have any ownership interested in it anyway.
Like 11th Street, if I'm right, isn't there a street that goes from 11th Street to 9th Street from west? Is that 11th Street that I'm talking about that goes
Yeah,
through?
there's several streets
Yeah.
along west that have been vacated, cross streets, yeah.
And I mean, I get his point too. I mean, it's nothing the city's gonna do. And if the city is gonna put a street, it costs them a lot more money. If we haven't done it today, we're probably not gonna do it tomorrow.
But I think about some of the dead end streets where there's not the broken down gravel and the value to the property owners, thousands, increasing their acreage. You know what I mean?
Right. So they're getting 8 feet or 33 feet that's getting added to their property. They're probably using it right now anyway, but they don't technically own it.
Yeah, well, that too.
But what's involved as far as city time as far as towards the vacation? I mean, do we need 250 to cover that? Is it multiplied if you have more people involved in the property?
I assume there's a public hearing on that too, right?
I think there is.
I have to look.
And there's probably, I mean,
We can,
I'm okay with just doing a flat rate. I mean, I'm okay, but I think 250s.
well, my take about vacations amongst, in comparison to the rest of them is it happens so infrequently that I don't, foresee it being problematic, whether it's $0 or $1 million, you know what I mean? Because it doesn't happen that often, especially anymore when the dead end streets within the inner part of our city have already been vacated. I mean, how many of them are left? There's only a handful.
I'd be okay at just doubling it and be done with it. I mean, because we're gonna have some time, same thing with the variants and stuff like that, but that's my opinion.
I think I've seen it more with utility easements too, like out at the old Cold Atlas or whatever they're called now. They did some, instead of replatting, they just did like another minor subdivision. And just to plop another building on there, they needed to vacate a 10-foot easement. It's no big deal. Council approved it, done. Whether charging $500 for something like that, I don't know. But
I'd say, based on the examples you said, 250 is fine, but based on the other examples, like Mr. Brian Blackstead, who came in earlier in the year, he's going to get half an acre of land if the city vacates that, and that's not alleyway or road or, you know what I mean? That's a huge benefit for him, but
it's not open. So, I mean, city has no, if the city were to not vacate it, thinking someday they're going to open it to the public, then, obviously be probably an assessment or a developer would pay for that improvement.
well, another year at 250 wouldn't hurt if it was there.
Like I said, I'd pin and bump everything up $100,
Sure.
top box and be done. I mean, we could sit here and go round and round.
For the pre-plat, you want to just go 100 more, or do you want to go more than that?
I would like to see a little bit more uniformity with it too. So, my recommendations down at the bottom, the flat fees go to 50. I was in the thought of the doubling vacation and moving the plats up to 500 each because we're still well below that of everyone else. I mean,
Flats
comparable.
going up that much, I'd be fine with that.
Yep, just because that could be.
You're talking pre and final?
Pre and final 500 and no escrow because, the Pine Island's doing 3,000. Cannon Falls is doing 500 plus a 2,500, $3,000 worth of escrow deposits. Lake City, who's below us in some fees, still require $500 escrow deposit. So we're below everybody on, if we remove those to 500, we're still below people by a couple $100.
And what do you want to do with all the other ones in the first block, move all those up 100?
Fine with that.
I'm fine with that too, because the other thing is if we're already below everyone else and we move up to $100 and we're still below a majority of people, why not do it now than in 5 years from now when we're way below and then everybody's mad at us when we increase everything by 500 just to catch up, you
I don't
know?
remember what a zoning permit is for.
So a zoning permit technically by our ordinances is for fences, but there has not been a zoning permit issued since 2007. So
How about a vacation? Do we want to bump that up to 500? The vacation, or is Matt okay with at 250?
Spend another 100.
You want to do another on that one?
don't enter to me. I don't anticipate. I mean, the only one I could foresee coming is Blackstead coming back if he gets everybody to sign the deed or whatever.
That zoning permit,
We don't do it.
now is that your,
Deed's been recorded a long time.
It was something I talked to him on the phone about. He said he was waiting on his family to get something figured out before he applies for the vacation. I don't remember. That was,
that zoning, we never use it.
no. Because, so zoning permits usually are encompassed within the building permits. Zoning permit, as you see on here, is just talking about someone going out there and, making sure someone's property lines match where the fence is. But most people don't get a certificate of survey. So it's one of those things that faded out because the zoning permit, as you see it here, is just for checking to make sure they put their shed X amount of feet away, but nobody does that. It hasn't been done in over 15 years, I like the language of it and the ordinances, but
I think we should probably keep it there, but
I think we should keep it there just in case it ever, as of right now, it hasn't happened. Since we switched building officials back in the late 2000s, they've never checked a zoning permit. And I don't believe there's any record of a zoning permit being checked.
Well, it's funny because like Mr. Hansen's situation there with somebody who caught that, he just went in and did it.
I mean, the bottom line, if you would have just did it, that happens all the time. I mean,
yes.
that's what I wanted to say. I mean,
Let's say remember with Parkport, we had that one where there's a shed that's actually sitting on park property. I'm sure that was never reviewed.
Has that, I remember people talking about that possible encroachment, and again, GIS, ignore that, but has it been verified for sure? that
Well, I
it
understood
encroached?
that they went out there with the survey line.
Did they survey?
Yeah, they put the survey marks right through his yard.
Okay.
But
Might have been.
that's the other problem with sole zoning permits is most people don't get a survey and you can't check it anyway. You're not gonna go pull people's property pins. It doesn't give you the right to go do that. So it's just one of those things that you can't necessarily do, but it's still the language of it. And essentially the permit is still included within building permits because it's still checked via the site plan or if they do submit a survey. But a sole zoning permit hasn't been issued.
So they never charge, charge them for this.
There's never been a request for one. When it comes to fences, we just tell them if it's over 6 feet or 7 feet, you need a building permit just because it goes so far on the ground. But most people have 4 to 6 foot fences. So find your property lines, hire a surveyor, do the right, our ordinance language says next to, but not on top of property line for a fence. So as long as you abide by that, do your fence. Unless then I have the same spiel I tell everybody. Yeah, I tell them, do you live on a corner property, because then you can't do it in the front. And if you want something in the sides, it has to be 4 feet. I go through the whole thing, but nobody goes up there. Roger doesn't go up there and check it.
Put it on the line as long as the neighbors are okay with it.
Okay. Well, just because this neighbor doesn't mean the next one isn't going to be, after. So I always tell them, don't put it on the property line. But, okay, so for
the
my notes,
pre-plat and final plat, we're going to 500. And $100 on everything else except for zoning permit will leave.
sure.
Is that okay with everybody?
$50 each on the lower ones.
Yeah.
The appeals item, do we want to do something for the appeal item?
So I just highlighted that one because I was thinking about it. If I had to pick something to add from what other people do, it'd probably be that one, but I don't mind it that we don't have it, is what I'll say.
Sorry, but trying to remember how the ordinance reads. If there's an appeal, that's still internal. So does it go to council? Who's the arbiter on a zoning appeal. Because eventually, if they have an adverse decision, they can go to district court, but I think this is still city internal. So the funny thing is there's a decision, goes in front of the administrator first. If there needs planning action, we consider it, we recommend to council, they approve. Then what? Do you appeal right back to council, something that they already approved, or there's got to be another body, but I
We'd
don't
be
think.
charging them for our work on the appeal. It seems kind of odd.
The way I thought of it is, when people like Don bring information to us and say we can make a decision right based on that information, he takes our feedback, goes, finds more information, comes back with the appeal. And that more information might change their initial decision based on more information. That's my thought process towards what appeal. Like I said,
I'm sorry, is it something that just the zoning administrator makes an administrative decision and says, no, you can't do that?
I could do
And
it
then
for
he
all of it.
says, no, I think I can, I want to get on the planning agenda. And then you say, well, here's a little fee then for you to bother us.
No, yeah, we could,
I don't know.
we could,
I'm just trying to remember how the ordinance reads. I don't remember.
the ordinances, I don't know how much they talk about appeals. I want to say it does, but it doesn't mention any type of fee whatsoever regarding an appeal process.
Or what the appeal is.
What the
Whose
process.
decision is getting appealed. Okay,
Well, I put forth a motion that we adjust the fees as discussed here, $100 each additional on the top part, move those two to $550 each in the lower part.
Second.
discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, carries. And that'll go to, well, council deliberated, and then they'll approve the final fee schedule January, right?
Yep,
Okay.
For 2022.
2022.
But now I'm gonna get into this.
Yeah.
Then we're down to 6B.
Yep. So I mentioned this first last month, but there's been some new developments. So the ARPA committee, which is the American Rescue Plan Act, it is the federal dollars that have been allotted to municipalities stemming from 2020. There was a recent meeting just last week too, and they talk about a number of things of how to spend these ARPA dollars. What I've highlighted is two things that may affect the planning commission. So I brought these up last month too, but potentially a codification service just to update some codes. In my time here working with Roger and Casey Paul, it's been made aware, as you guys have noticed, every once in a while when I bring forth ambiguous ordinances that nobody can really decide how to make a decision. Maybe we need some updates. The League of Minnesota Cities, I've been in contact with them. They have model ordinances for zoning, but they don't necessarily do codification for zoning. But I'm working with them on third parties for zoning review is what I would love to have. So maybe, long story short, maybe some dollars could be going towards codification for the city. It's most likely going to happen for city ordinances, not planning and zoning ordinances. But unless I find another firm that does zoning ordinances, some of our ordinances may be updated or additions may happen, things of that nature. The other one would be the Goodhue County GIS user group. And I didn't add this to the packet just because it's pretty lengthy and it's a lot of paper and we're trying to save trees here, but you guys can pass that around. I mentioned this last month, but Goodhue County has, I'll call it a group of cities within the county that all use the GIS in a certain fashion. We have the GIS available to the public in a limited capacity, but by joining this group, you get more layers of things you can see. So something like a zoning map would be really nice to have. City services on a map. A lot of us are familiar with the GIS. Imagine being able to click the button and see the city services. So that's something that is another thing that is getting floated around that we as a city might join. It doesn't just help affect the planning commission. It helps technically everybody, but really helps the public works department.
And there were more years ago when it was first floated to the council, we decided at that time it wasn't some expenditure that didn't need to be done.
Yep.
Really, because you can still get basic information off the county one, but probably worth another look, right?
Correct. The way it was explained to me at the time, the decision was made to not opt for it because opting for it, they felt like it was a privilege or a right that they already had. But since it wasn't a right and they had to pay for the privilege to join it, they said no based on that, not necessarily the cost, just based on
What's the cost again?
$3,300 annually.
$300 a year.
Yep.
That would come out of our budget,
It would be,
planning and zoning.
no, it'd probably be a city budget thing, right, Kim? When,
It would probably come under, we'd probably put a separate line. It'd probably be a software maintenance fee.
something like that.
But right, if it includes additional useful information like a zoning map, that's probably.
Yeah, and we, but, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, and back to your point, 10 years ago, the people in charge at the time didn't like that people are joining the county, so we created our own and we completed 50% of it and never finished it. And so we spent a lot of money trying to replicate it. And our most recent estimates from our city engineer was that it would cost more than $3,300 to finish it, so.
If you get part of this group, you get some kind of a technical support from the county for, the user.
There's something.
Everything, the people, the computers.
Yep, there's something in there about that and then how they store some of our information. So for example, we've had, I don't know how many rezoning permits or minor subdivisions. Minor subdivision, for example, people have to record at the county level, but through this user group, I could submit information straight to the county for recording purposes, which would be nice. It's more up to date too. I mean, the zoning map that I base all my work off of is from 2018. It doesn't even include some of the places that have been annexed, or zones that have changed, or parcels that have been split, or you know what I mean? So it'd be nice.
We've been relying on the city engineering to do that, right?
Yeah, but paying per time of needing something.
And you would have technical support for this.
They have their departments take care of it. They host this information on their servers. There's a page in there that says a little bit more about it. But another last final tidbit on it is we are, I want to say, the only city in the county that's not in it.
I think the people get it, there's no question about it.
It would make life a lot easier is what I'd say, regardless of.
Very agrees.
Mhm.
So what would we make a recommendation to this or what?
No, I just wanted to, I'm gonna move that probably to the reports or the other section until I get some more information on it. I just had it in the business item last month because I thought I'd have an answer this month. But with working with the League of Minnesota Cities and working with the counties, there's still some digging to do and formalities to work out. But until something more matter of fact comes about, then we'll probably, I would like that. I mean, Brian would probably like to hear that
We had
too.
to make a list of, what we were directed to from the committee was to make a list of city projects that we could use the ARPA dollars for, in order to prioritize those and then kind of look at what we have remaining for some other needs within the city.
How many dollars were we allocated?
387,000.
387,000.
Yeah.
And this is only 3,300 a year.
Yep.
But we have to use all that money by 2024, 26.
Allocated by 2024.
Tell them what we're using.
Yeah.
So I think that should.
So if it goes into it, after we're out of that money though, to continue it, we're still gonna have to budget that $3,300 from somewhere. And I assume that would probably be from the general budget.
We'll get her to invest.
Yeah.
But I mean, is it something that we could probably say we'll pay for 2022, 23, 24, 25. I mean, if that's what that committee decides, you could pay it up.
Agreement, you have to be 2 years to start with anyway.
Yeah, the county wants you to pay the first 2 years up front.
Even if we did 2 years, it's 2 years to make up.
And they keep raising my real estate taxes, I'm sure that they.
They are?
All right, should we move on to 7A then? No, probably no action on that then.
Yeah, I mean, I like the thought of, because Kim and I are on the ARPA committee, so we'll tell them that PC
So am I.
back. You're Brad though today.
I've never been called Brad.
Simba committee.
Yes, I'll say that till I die.
we'll mention to the rest of the committee, the things that we've talked about here and how strongly we all feel about it. So,
I can tell them to stop.
All right, then on to 7A.
yep, so this is just more of an update report type thing. That annexation, that never goes away. The state finally approved it, so I just wanted to update this.
Which one's that one?
This is the 7.83 or 7.87 acres north of Walnut Street.
Oh, up
Or,
here.
Whitmer.
Yep, Whitmer, where
Okay.
Hodgman came in and spoke to us. about, he petitioned the city for annexation in, I want to say July. We brought it to the August meeting here and then public hearing a month later, and then it's like 5 months.
The state did approve it?
The state approved it. It's been recorded with the county. There's been a lot of hangups along the way, from getting outdated legal descriptions to the state highway. It used to be the Zumbrota Red Wing Road back in 1919, and it changed over in 1920, and our legal description was predated 1920. I mean, I'm a half a historian now, but I just wanted to update that that's finally been approved. But this goes back to the GIS user group. When I record something with the county, they'd upload it to our user group, one of the layers. And so, next week or next month, we'd see that that's annexed into the city. But we're not going to see that until we pay the engineering firm to do it now.
My property is right in their county map.
But yeah, that's basically it for that. I already sent out the ordinance that council signed to the entities in there, Township, County, and Secretary of State. So that's an update on that one.
Last one.
The last one is just something I'll say because I felt bad. So as the head of the EDA, they want to do a public finance course. Miranda and Mike both serve on the park board. They want to do a public finance course offered by the League of Minnesota Cities. That's less so pertinent here with the Planning Commission, but I wanted to throw it out there in case anybody scholarly interest in public finances. The League of Minnesota Cities offers a public finance course on their website, and more information on that is just attached. But yeah, my thoughts was every other board is doing it, and I felt like I didn't belong at PZ, but I'll just throw it out there in case anybody wants to do it on their own time type of thing.
Probably attend for anybody.
Yeah, it is, it's one of those things where it's $15 a user, but the more people that do it, it goes down in price, but we can work out if you guys want to do it. You can email me. Yeah, what I believe is it's a recorded webinar that once you purchase it, they give you access to the video and you can take it at your own pace. And it's offered by the finance director for the League of Minnesota Cities. And it's just, my assumption is, 101 type basic public financials course. Okay.
Park board, we asked that question.
I think you can watch it anytime.
Yep. It's anytime. It's whenever you sign up, you get access to it type of thing. But that's, like I said, everybody else was doing it. So I was like, oh,
So what do we do, just pay our $15?
Yep. So here at Planning Commission, if you guys wanted to join, it'd be $15, but we could add it to other people and then we can make it $10 because the EDA wants to do it, the park board wants to do it.
It'll come out of those budgets.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
can't we get 50 people to watch it on one screen or something?
Yeah, but then we need $500.
Well, they don't know who's watching.
Oh, yeah, I agree. We should we could pay $115 and then put it on the screen, have a movie night in the bridge.
Right.
Yeah. I like it. I like it. I guess I didn't even think about that. See, I was thinking about you. If we got to 19 users, could we make up someone for the 20th just to save money? But yeah.
We just tell you that we want to do it or what?
Dylan, I'm not doing that. I mean, it's Dylan.
Yeah, if you just, I'll get a better head count. Like I said, I'm not a part of the park board, so I don't know how many. I believe all of them want to sign up. All of the EDA wants to sign up. And then if you guys want to sign up,
Oh, you got 1 year.
1, 2,
I'll do it. I think I already said it in one.
I probably signed you up regardless. You good? You want to sign up? No, don't. You guys can think about it too. And if you change your mind, email me type of thing. I don't think we're doing it this month or next month. It's something.
No, I'd do it if
Okay,
I could find the right time.
that's it for me.
Okay, anything else? Otherwise I'll adjourn. Thank you.
Good job, you done.